Show will be starting in 1 minute and 30 seconds. Come on into the building, family. We got a powerful show today. Very excited. Come on in. We got a powerful one. We're going to get it in.
Uplifting the community. Let's talk about it. Uplifting the community. Let's talk about it.
30 seconds, y'all. We're about to start.
Real truth, power, health, wealth.
You got to get one of these, JRich.
Knowledge of self. Uplifting the community. Let's talk about it.
All right, welcome to the Real Truth and Power Live podcast, where we provide health, wealth, and knowledge of self. We got a phenomenal show, again, with our co-host, Brother JRich. So let me get it going, and let's start the show.
You are now tuned in to Real Truth and Power, the show that uplifts the community with health, wealth, and knowledge of self. Here's your host, Everett Winchester.
All right, man, we got a phenomenal show today, and very excited. Before I bring in my guests, I wanted to play this video. I want to give you guys a warning. It could be a little bit, alarming to certain people. And then we're going to bring in our co-host, Brother JRich. So please just be aware it might be a little harmful as far as young kids.
Ahmaud Arbery, who's African-American, is seen running on a Sunday afternoon in February in Brunswick, Georgia. Gregory McMichael and his son Travis, who are white, are in a pickup truck ahead, both armed. Travis fires a shotgun and kills Arbery. According to a police report, the father, Gregory McMichael, said there had been several break-ins in the neighborhood, and a man he viewed as the suspect was running down the street. He and his son grabbed their guns and went after him, thinking he could be armed. McMichael also said Arbery began to violently attack Travis. Arbery's mother says her son was just out for a daily jog.
He was into fitness, and that's just something that he did. That's something that he enjoyed doing.
An attorney for Arbery's family says he was unarmed and tried to avoid the truck. He says there's no evidence to suggest Arbery was committing a crime. Georgia does have a statute allowing citizen arrest.
However, you must personally observe the crime. So it can't be you believe that someone may have committed a crime in the area in the recent past.
Supporters of Arbery's family have organized protests. LeBron James, Viola Davis, and Wanda Sykes among those voicing outrage. NBC News has been unable to reach the McMichaels, but attorney Alan Tucker, who's known Gregory McMichaels for 30 years, says there isn't a prejudicial or racist bone in his body. Tucker says he released the cell phone video to get the truth out there. Two prosecutors recused themselves because of connections to the McMichaels, one of them from Waycross County, writing he thought their actions were perfectly legal, and Travis McMichael was allowed to use deadly force to protect himself after Arbery allegedly initiated the fight and grabbed his shotgun. On Tuesday, the DA, now responsible, called for a grand jury to consider criminal charges. But because of coronavirus closures, that can't happen until June.
What pains me the most is that he was killed, but then the authorities.
So, man, that is definitely powerful. I don't know what to say. The brother looked like he was trying to defend himself. He was shot for no reason. So what I'm going to do right now is bring on my co-host, Brother JRich, and we're going to, as usual, get it in. My brother from another. What's going on with you, Brother JRich?
Peace, fam, man. You know, just making it do what it do, man. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, man, there's a lot of disturbing things around this case, man. And all of them come to the same conclusion for me, is that though they were arrested, I don't think either one of these cats are going to get convicted. You know, the first DA, Barnhill, who recused himself from the door, the mother suggested that wanted him, you know what I mean, didn't want him involved in the case at all, you know, because of the connection that he had with the father and son. So in stepping down, he did them a huge favor. You know, I don't know. I know I sent you the letter. I don't know if you got a chance to read it, but anybody that you should definitely Google District Attorney Barnhill's letter to the police department. When he stepped down, he laid out a complete defense for these two guys to get off under what he sees as self-defense. Me and the brother was talking about this earlier this week, and when you read it, it gives you insight. You may not agree with it. I found it quite alarming, you know what I mean, and sad. But at the same time, I found it very informative as to the way they view things, the way they see things. You know, I know this other attorney just on the video was like, oh, you know, there's no racism in it. There's no racism in it. But to see a young man just running down the street, and we all just seen the video, see him running down the street, a car following him with these two guys in it. They go around him, go up, block off the road. One gets out with the shotgun. The other is in the bed of the truck with a pistol. And they're talking about like, we want to talk to you. Come on, man. Ain't nobody in their right mind gonna be like, oh yeah, what's up, man? Did you catch the game last night? That's not in the situation. Automatically, you know what I mean? Your defenses go up. And for this DA to make the claim that this young man is at fault for his own death. He called that's the way he laid it out, that this young man caused his own death because he could have just kept on running around the truck, but no, he made this is his words, he made a 90-degree turn and attacked this man. And it goes to his mental psyche, you know what I mean? What type of man in his right mind is going to attack another man with a gun? The question is, what type of man in his right mind, you know what I mean, that just wants to talk to someone, grabs their gun and blocks off the street that they're running on? But that's not included in the letter. The letter is all about how this young man should have just kept running, or he shouldn't have been in the neighborhood, or he shouldn't have did this, or he shouldn't have did that. The actions of these two men were never taken into account, except to say that they were right within the law.
Well, let me ask you this, because obviously we saw the videotape. You could tell the brother was jogging, and you could tell he was trying to run around the truck. And you see this guy coming at him with like a rifle or shotgun. Anybody would defend themselves. My question is, why is it that they feel the right to follow and protect? Why not just call the police and let the police handle it? Even though that's another issue. You know, has that been spoken about? What made you feel that you got to follow somebody and make some type of citizen's arrest? That ain't working.
They did call the police. They did call the police. And they called 911. It was just like, there's a black man running through my neighborhood. And it's like, I need the police here. And they were like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? I'm going to get them on the way. What is he doing? He's running through our neighborhood. Okay, I got that. But what is he doing? And at that point, him and his son had already, you know what I mean, started off, you know what I mean, got their guns, jumped in the truck, you know what I mean? Because the question of what he was actually doing was never answered. Or the answer was he was running through the neighborhood. So for them, that's just cause. You know, I haven't seen any evidence that he was doing anything other than running down the street.
Now, my question to you is this, but first of all, this case reminds me of another case when somebody jumped out at somebody with a hood. And it looked like that guy might have defended himself. It seems to me that the guy with the gun is always getting his ass whipped to some degree and then winding up busting the cat. But that's another situation. Let me ask you this. As a black man, black people in general, when are we afraid to defend ourselves at this particular point? Are we afraid to arm ourselves and defend ourselves in our community? I mean, when do we start fighting back and saying enough is enough? The guy jumped out at me, boom, boom, and let me continue my run till I get to the crib. When do we start defending ourselves, or is the system and the law so unjust that we've given up on defending our community?
I think that there's been a long standing in this country of any black man trying to defend himself or defend his family or so on and so forth. And I say that because we can go back to weeks before Malcolm X was killed, firebomb thrown through his window. The police showed up and was like, oh, I think he did it himself. Why? So he can stand outside and, you know what I mean, freezing weather with the gun trying to defend his house, you know. Trayvon Martin walking home. Police telling this guy, you know, leave him alone. Leave him alone. Police on the way. Leave him alone. Grown man chases him down. Apparently he fights for, you know what I mean? He's fighting for his life, you know, and he goes to court and he's just like, oh, you know, it was self-defense because, you know what I mean? Why? It was self-defense because he was trying to defend his life. So that automatically becomes self-defense. But it's a long list. It's not just him, you know. Eric Garner lost his life because he just wanted to breathe. So he lost his life just wanting to breathe. I can't breathe, just wanting to breathe. And I wish I could remember the brother who truck broke down in the middle of the street. His wife is a police officer. He got out the truck because he had called for help. He got out the truck. Police showed up. He's thinking the police are there to help him. The police are thinking that he's a robbery suspect because it was a robbery that had just taken place. So they tell him, get back in the truck. He's walking back to the truck. Another female officer shows up and he's like, put your hands on the car. Her husband is in the helicopter. He's like, oh yeah, you know, and he's a thug. He's this, yeah. He's doing this and this and this. He followed every direction that they gave him, and they still took his life, and she got off. The fact that I feel as though that we did that at this point in time, with the long history of our existence here in America, that we can't win. You know, if you don't defend your life, they're going to take it, and if you do defend your life and you come out on top, they're going to charge you with murder. So I've taken, you know what I mean? I've invited my cousins, invited my friends. Hey, man, we need to get these arms, man. Let's go down to the range. Let's learn how to use them. Let's learn how to defend our houses, man, defend ourselves.
Let me ask you this. All of the unfortunate killings to unarmed black people, the black community itself, do you feel that we've done enough to show that we're not allowing this to happen anymore? Where do we need to proceed besides arming ourselves? Have we done everything at all costs to protect ourselves, or are we just, you know, going through the motions in a system where we can't win and we just got to protect ourselves now? Am I making sense? Have we resorted to everything?
I don't think we have, man. I don't think we have. And one of the biggest issues, and I'll get to that after I answer your question. One of the biggest issues is economics, man. Anytime you start talking about crime, you have to bring economics into the situation, you know. And I was looking at a couple of different studies that were done for not necessarily our economics now, but what were our economics and the crime rate in our communities before segregation, as opposed to after segregation. And then after segregation, you still have like about 3 different steps you have to go through, because there's the post-segregation, whereas, you know, black and white was still fighting. And then you have the war on drugs segregation, you know what I mean, where we were where America completely separated again, you know what I mean? And we were trapped in these communities where we no longer have our own businesses. We no longer owned our own homes. We no longer had our own income flowing through the community itself, but yet we were riddled with a bunch of crime. No, I don't think that we've done everything that we can do, because it's our sons, it's our grandsons, it's our nephews that, you know, we not only have to look out for the police, we have to look out for our own progeny, you know what I mean, that's running rampant through the community. And me personally, I've been struggling with this, and I've come to the conclusion that I'm not even going to say we need to change their attitude, E. I'm not even going to say we need to change their attitude. What we really need to do is change their focus. Imagine that these same cats, man, that sat back and watched The Wire and try to live their lives out like The Wire, but instead of, you know what I mean, all this self-gain, what if they actually started protecting their communities? What if they actually started fighting back for rights? What if they start fighting back for equality? What if they actually started becoming freedom fighters? You know what I mean? That, you know what I mean? Like when the gangs first started. When the gangs first started, it was all about protecting the community. You didn't allow anybody to sell drugs in the community. You ain't allow all this pimping to go on. You ain't allow all of this nonsense to happen within your community. That gang was there to protect. Imagine if these young cats with the type of power and the means that they have now, imagine if they fought for freedom.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Let me ask you this. Fighting for freedom comes at a heavy cost.
We done anyway, man.
I'm with you, but let me ask you. Knowing that it comes with a cost, is there what's the word I want to say? Are we kind of hesitant? Are we afraid? Are we afraid to fight? I mean, let's call it the way we call it. It's okay to kill each other, but when you go and you kill somebody from another community, defending yourself or not, there's going to be some heavy backlash. Are we just straight up afraid to defend ourselves because we're screwed either way? Or are we going to start to change that narrative and start fighting back? Are we going to start arming ourselves? You know, so what do you think about that?
I think in a lot of ways, yes. In a lot of ways, yes, man. You know what I mean? If you want to teach the dog not to get on the couch, you hit him enough times, the dog ain't gonna get on the couch no more. You know what I mean? And not to say that we're all dogs or we're all animals, but you know what I mean? There's a mentality, there's a training. You know what I mean? There's a social training that's been going on in our community by our own government for years now. You know what I mean? And yes, I think that we need to break that. We need to break this cycle, man, of killing each other and start defending one another. We need to start caring. I'm all for, you know what I mean? Me personally, I mean, you already know that I'm all for gun rights. You know, if there's somebody that has like some type of mental issue or something or whatever, that probably shouldn't have a gun, I'm all for them not having a gun. But if, you know what I mean, the mass majority of gun owning citizens are law abiding citizens. I'm all for gun rights, and I'm all for black people to go out and legally buy more and more of them and defend themselves, go to the range, learn how to shoot, take tactical training, man, learn how to defend yourself, learn how to defend your family, and so on and so forth. The laws in Maryland are so completely ridiculous, man. It's so backwards that no matter what you do, you know what I mean, and in the state of Maryland, it's hard to prove self-defense. I say that because I give you the example that was given to me by an attorney. Said that pretty much the way the law is written in the state of Maryland is, if a burglar is breaking into your house and you're in your bedroom, you get your gun and you go to where the burglar is, you're now the aggressor. Even though he's in your house, you have the right to defend your life. You do not have the right to defend your property.
Yo, that's crazy.
Yes, it is. So if you take your gun from out of your bedroom and you go down to the living room where they are and you shoot and kill them, you are actually the aggressor, because there was no intimate danger while you was in one part of the house and he was in another. It's completely backwards. And on top of that, even if he did come into your bedroom, you have to think you have to have a trigger lock on your gun. The gun has to be locked away. By the time you get all of these locks and everything else, he done already laid you, your wife, your kids, or he done already laid all y'all to rest.
Let me ask you this. I wanna put something up, and you were breaking this down. Hopefully, I can maximize it a little bit. I'm not sure. But I don't know if you can see this graph that's up on the screen. And
yeah.
Okay, it might be loading. There's a graph that I put up there, and it should be animated. I'm not sure if it's going to work or not.
Yeah, I see it now. Yeah.
Okay. What do you feel about that graph? Because that's a lot of red in the area. I know it's probably hard to see. I'm trying to maximize it, but there's a lot of red in the area of pretty much black people getting killed. What do you think of that?
Almost the whole map is lit up except Montana, Idaho.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's a really scary thought. I'm laughing, but I don't find it, you know what I mean, humorous at all, man. It's a really scary thought, man. And that when you look at both coastlines, man, we are dying, man. The unarmed black man dies almost three times as likely to be killed by anybody else.
Right.
Anyone else. Unarmed. And you think about how many protests that we've seen over like the past week of people just wanting to get out of the house. They are walking the streets with rifles, with handguns. They're in the police face. And then you go back and you look at all the peaceful protests where tear gas was used against us, where they let loose dogs, where they turned on fire hoses. And I'm not talking about 1960. I'm talking about 2019. I'm talking about 2000. I'm talking about 2020. I'm talking about within the last few years. You know what I mean? The tear gas, everything that's happened during peaceful protests that nobody was on. Nobody was in the police face and doing all of this, but they're able to walk down the streets with rifles, man, and they're loaded. These aren't unloaded weapons, man. These weapons are loaded. And then you have a president that calls them all these are good law-abiding citizens when they're firing guns off in school zones.
Right. I'm with you. It seems to me. Let me ask you this: what laws do we have as black people to defend ourselves? Because it seems to me we don't have any laws. It's like we're being hunted, but we can't hunt back. If that makes sense.
Man, I have no idea. I'm hoping that somebody calls in and lets us know. For real. Because I'm honestly, man, all jokes aside, I have no idea. None whatsoever. I had a brother call me the other day because you run, you know what I mean? And let's give it up for my man E. He getting them 7 miles in on a regular basis, man.
I ain't messing around.
But he asked me, he was like, hey, man, you know what I mean? With all this happening, what do you think, man? You think you should start running with like a small like carry or something, you know, like a 32 or a 380? And I was, you know what I mean? I'm like, man, you know, I got like a little, you know, a concealed 9. I was like, but I don't really, that's not how I want to live my life. I don't want to live my life with a gun running around thinking, you know what I mean, everybody after me. But at the same time, man, and it's not even the neighbors and the people that I pass by, because most of the time I don't really pass by anybody because I'm out there like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. But my thought is, what would happen if the police roll up and I got Nas red I'm listening to the Roots just pumping, and I'm in my zone, and they're yelling at me, stop. I don't hear them. You know what I mean? Because I'm looking at the ground. I'm listening to the cadence for them telling me how many miles I've gone. I'm not paying any attention. You know what I mean? I'm just running my route, listening to my music in my zone, and I get shot in the back. And they're like, oh, he was trying to flee the scene. That thought goes through my mind often.
Protecting the community. This has happened. If that was a white person that got shot by a black person, that community would be up in arms. And they wouldn't be doing any marching. They'd be out like, y'all better lock this brother up before we handle him. Where's our task force at? Where's our community as far as protecting itself? I mean, when do we say enough is enough? And how would you say we proceed with defending ourselves if this was to happen again? And I'm using that in the terms of, say, what happened up in Michigan, where it was a bunch of white guys with guns that went to the state capitol, was it? I'm not sure if it was the state capitol or the and they went with guns. But yet, if there was a black group going up there with guns, it's going to be some brothers at the least getting locked up. So when we talk about defending our community, if this is to happen to one of us, how can we say, look, we're going to get our guns, we're going down there to Georgia? It doesn't seem like we are able to do that because there's some things that's going to happen if we do that.
To me, I can't even see how this young man's death, man, is any different than any other vigilante death. I fail to see it. But like I said, man, once you read that letter from that district attorney that ended up recusing himself, you see a different light, and you see how they see us. Because throughout the letter, sometimes he called them Mr. Arbery, but for the most part, he called them the criminal.
Right.
That's powerful, man. You have to think about that. This man has been charged with nothing. This man was not a suspect, you know what I mean, by being watched by the police for, allegedly breaking into houses, you know what I mean? It was none of that. But yet in the letter, he referred to him as the criminal. That's powerful, man. That's powerful. Whenever, he's not even a man. You know what I mean? You only call him by his name just to identify who he is, but then throughout the letter, you keep referring to him as the criminal. He never got his day in court.
I mean, he wasn't doing anything wrong to be a criminal. He was just shot and killed for no reason.
What he told her, that he was caught, that he got killed burglarizing a home, and him and the homeowner got into a fight over the gun. Not he was shot in the street, but he was caught burglarizing the home, and him and the homeowner got into it over the gun, and he subsequently got shot.
Go back and talk about that letter again. Break down the letter. You were saying who was it from, and break that letter again, because you said something I must have missed when you was mentioning the criminal part.
In the letter, they already had the video, and before they even got the autopsy back, they had already determined and made up their minds that these two men were in the right. They were defending themselves. They were chasing down a criminal, holding that criminal. You know what I mean? All they wanted to do was just hold that criminal. So, you know what I mean? Until the police got there. And that Mr. Arbery caused his own death by attacking one of them, you know what I mean, that held the gun. And by attacking him, when he reached out to grab for the gun, Mr. Arbery's finger was already on the trigger. No, I'm sorry. Was Michael McMahon, whatever his name is, finger was already on the trigger. So when this young man tried to pull the shotgun out of his hand, he subsequently shot himself because he caused this man to pull the trigger by pulling on the barrel of the gun.
It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Now let me.
Whereas you and I may see the video as this dude is fighting for his life. He's trying to get the gun out of his hand. He's trying to get this dude to not point the gun at him, trying to push the gun away. But no, his view is, oh, well, if he wouldn't have pulled on the gun, then it wouldn't have put enough pressure on his finger on the trigger so he caused himself to get shot. I wish I was making this up.
I mean, that's crazy. But let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Legally, what do you feel worse for someone that does defend themselves? Like you say, I go running, and I go running. I hit a neighborhood that's like a good neighborhood, and I'm just running. You know, I'm pushing like 5, 6, 7 miles. So I extend out of my neighborhood into someone else's neighborhood, and somebody pulls up on me. I got to defend myself, and I do. I'm armed. I could be legally armed, and I shoot somebody. I run back like most. Some white guys try to jump out and kill me. What do you think the ramifications for me would be? Because it doesn't seem like it's a level playing field.
The very first step, my man, is you're going to jail. The very first step is you're going to jail. I mean, let's be about this whole situation. You're going to jail. And unless, you know what I mean, there are a bunch of neighbors that are willing to come out and say, this man runs through the neighborhood every day. He's not bothering anybody. It was the other car that pulled up and approached them. I may not have heard what was said, so on and so forth, but this man has never done anything, blah, 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 such and such. But we even have cases where people stepped up and said that the person didn't do it, and they still went to jail. Munir Abu Jamal, you know what I mean? How many presidents have been in office and this guy still hasn't gotten, you know what I mean, still hasn't gotten off? How many appeals has this guy gone through? And just, I'm not even talking about just releasing him and saying, you know what, you served your time. I'm just talking about the amount of evidence that they had showing that he wasn't the person. You know what I mean? That he didn't commit the crime. He never got another day in court. Never. When you look at the 5 brothers from New York that was accused of raping this woman, 20 years, man. 20 years before somebody finally said something's not right. And you have case after case after case after case of people, innocent men that were locked up, and it took decades for someone to finally say, okay, let's look at this information, let's look at this evidence and see, you know what I mean, what really happened. I think instead of pouring so much money into building prisons, we have to start pouring money into the judicial system, whereas you don't get a public defender that has 50 other cases. And unfortunately, I've had to deal with a public defender where this guy comes and he sits down and talks to you literally 30 seconds before they call you into court. And the most that you can get out is your name, and you start asking him, why am I here? And before he can answer you, you're already sitting in court, and he's trying to strike up some type of deal with the DA, and you have no idea what's going on. But as in the law and what we can do for ourselves, the biggest thing that we have to do is unify. The biggest thing we have to do is unify, because as long as people want to keep closing their doors and shutting their eyes and saying, I ain't see nothing, I don't know nothing, I ain't see nothing, I don't know nothing, then when incidents like this happen, and like you said, the scenario, this very scenario that you and I are talking about could easily happen to either one of us, you know. If the people in that neighborhood aren't willing to step up and be like, man, this brother speaks to me every day, man. You know, I see him running, you know what I mean, every morning, you know. I see him running every morning. That's not the guy. That's not the guy. That's not who he is. unless they start stepping up, because these people know their neighbors. These people know who these two guys are. You know.
Let me ask you this. A brother, my guy, Mosiah Fit, aka Marcus Garvey. He has he's creating, I don't want to say a program, but he's creating an organization that's going to be called the Urban Development Task Force. And it's going to pretty much be an organization that protects the community from themselves. Say if, somebody robs me, I'm scared or whatever, they're going to have my back if I have to go through any course of, reporting it to the police. But also defending the community of things like that. Somebody comes in our community or, does something, violates a member of our community, they're coming to protect. Where do you think that's going to go if this happens to someone and they arm up and they say, hey, we're going to protect, a brother got wounded, our brother got shot for no reason. We're going to arm up and go and see what's going on. Is that the way to go?
Amen. The Jewish community, man, has the same type of task force, man, and it seems like they have a carte blanche, man, to protect their neighborhood however they feel necessary. Why shouldn't we? As long as brothers, man, and the biggest thing for me is brothers need to be trained. And as long as, man, they got like proper training on how to use a handgun and self-defense, and with self-defense comes self-discipline, you know what I mean? So you just not out there, you know what I mean, running around like some cowboy just whipping out on any old body. The first thing, you want to do is talk to somebody, and only time that you want to pull like a weapon on somebody, you know what I mean, is if the situation escalates to that point. But by training and being able to de-escalate a situation as well.
Right.
But yeah, man, that sounds completely awesome, man. I get with you, man, and let's see, man, what we can do, man, to join up with them. Yeah, that's right up my alley, man. That sounds lovely.
Right. Yeah. He actually was talking about it right after the show we did about the Stop Snitching, and he was like, man, he put it in place, man. They building the he's working, and I've helped them out with a chapter, the guidelines of the community and ethos and everything. And, they trying to make sure everything is done correctly and right, which scares me to a lot of degrees because, being right and defending yourself in this country, it doesn't always bode well. And so that's the thing that I'm worried about. Do you think it's time? Right, exactly. Do you think, though, it's time? Do you think that it's time?
Man, it most definitely is time, man. I can't think of a better time than the present, man. We used to have, what was it, the Guardian Angels?
Yeah, in New York.
Black Panthers, but I mean, even down here in Maryland was like, they had like Guardian Angels down here, and in DC they had like the Guardian Angels, You're right. But it's a point whereas, unfortunately, we have to go over, we have to go over leaps and bounds in order to get like an organization like that going and recognized, so that the police doesn't see us as a threat, but see us as working along, in conjunction with.
Right.
Because when you start looking at the statistics, man, black men being killed by the police, man, is like one of the top reasons of death, man, within the black community, man, is being killed by the police, man. And it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But people don't recognize that, man, and it's become such a norm. It is. Let me give you this stat real fast, man. And this has come from I believe NBC did a study. And it said since 2005, their research shows that only 35 officers have been convicted of a crime related to an on-duty fatal shooting. according to NBC News. Since 2005, 98 non-federal law enforcement officers have been arrested in connection with fatal on-duty shootings, according to the Police Integrity Research Group data. To date, only 35 of these officers have been convicted of a crime, often a lesser offense such as manslaughter or negligent homicide rather than murder. Only three officers have been convicted of murder since 2005, 15 years. The other 22 officers have been acquitted in a jury. 9 were acquitted by a bench trial. 10 other cases were dismissed by a judge or a prosecutor. And in one instance, no true bill was returned from the grand jury. I think in their study they showed of the 3, I think 2 of their convictions got knocked down to lesser charges. Only one officer has not had his sentence reduced or charges reduced.
That's crazy.
Crazy. 1,099 people were killed last year by the police, 24% of them black. According to The Atlantic, 260,000 black males have been killed since 1980. I believe that was the start of the war on drugs.
Now, when you say killed, is some of that genocide or is this police murders?
This is murder, period.
Okay. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
99% of all police shootings go without any charges or what's the word I'm looking for? They're not held accountable.
Right. So where do you?
Only 1 out of every 10 police shooting is ever investigated whereas the DA gets involved to say maybe there's an opportunity to bring charges here and that, but more than likely it'll just be an internal investigation and it'll all just go away.
Let me ask you, because I believe the father and son that did the killing, they've been arrested, correct? Or are they just what's their status right now?
As far as I know, they got arrested.
Okay.
But yeah, they got arrested.
You think they're going to come out innocent? You don't think they're going to be proven guilty?
Nah. And I think that they're going to be I think they're going to be proven innocent on the self-defense, because most of the people on the jury are going to end up seeing it the same way the DA sees it. The DA Barnhill seen it, which is amazing, because the same DA Barnhill, somebody sent me this information on him today or what have you. He went after this one woman a few years ago for voter fraud, because she went to go show a young lady, a first-time voter, how to use the voting machine. So he pressed to have charges brought against her. And this is one of a very, very, very rare case of a person looking to actually do prison time for voter fraud. And when the first case, I think, got caught up in a deadlock, they couldn't, you know what I mean? They didn't find her guilty. You know what I mean? It was like it was deadlocked. So it was a mistrial. That's the word I'm looking for. Ended up in a mistrial. You know, he went back and tried this woman again. Oh, wow. And she got acquitted. And he spent years investigating her and trying to get her on like this voter fraud. But yet these 2 men blocked off the street and shot this man in cold blood. And he looks at this video and he turns around and says, I don't see where any crime was committed. You've seen a crime that you wanted to press forward for years, for someone trying to show someone else how to use the voting machine. Not how to vote, not who to vote for, but the simple mechanics of using the machine. She's a councilwoman now, just to let you know.
No way. Are you serious? No way.
I'm so serious. She's been working for years, you know what I mean, in her community. Yes, and this is the person that he went after. But these 2 guys that he claims to have no association with,
right?
No crime.
Man, that's crazy. That's just crazy. Let me ask you a couple more questions before I get you out of here, brother JRich. We are some times now that it's calling for a lot of unity. We've been having a lot of shows and we've been addressing some powerful information, powerful topics. What's the best step in the black community getting unified to fight back? Because there can't be one brother or one organization. We're going to have to fight and we're going to have to protect each other when we're going through this fight. What is the biggest thing that we need to do as a community to unify? How can we get this to happen?
Man, the biggest thing, man, is getting to know your neighbors. Getting to know your neighbors, whether you like them or not, man, getting to know your neighbors. And I tell people all the time, I mean, because when you think about it, that march on Washington, do you think all those people were friends? Do you think all those people got along? And they probably rode the same bus from wherever, you know what I mean? From Norfolk, Virginia, from Philadelphia, from Pittsburgh, all over. And these same brothers and sisters probably didn't even speak to each other in the street, but they got on that bus and they went down there and they marched because they seen that what was at stake was much bigger than whatever their petty difference was. All of them didn't get along. All of them probably didn't even like each other. And probably after they got off the bus, once they went home, some of them may have never even spoken to each other ever again. But they went down there and they unified because they seen that this was a cause that was much bigger than themselves. And that's the point where we have to start. We have to start seeing the situation as being bigger than, I don't like that chick next door. She keep talking to my man. I don't like this dude next door. You know what I mean? This dude keep mugging me every time I'm walking up the steps to get to my apartment or whatever. We have to get past all of this. We have to get past all of this self-hate to say the only way that we're going to heal is to come together. The best way to heal is to help somebody else heal. So the only way that we can come together is not to wait till the next person gets shot, not to wait till the next person gets stabbed, not to wait till the next person with some type of mental illness checks themselves into the hospital and they kick her out in the freezing cold with just a nightgown on and some socks to say that something has to change. You know what I mean? We shouldn't have to sit here and read about Antoine Walker shot in the back fleeing a traffic stop. Tamir Rice killed for playing in the park. John Crawford III killed in Walmart holding a BB gun that's sold by Walmart while he's waiting on his car to get done. Eric Garner killed because he was trying to breathe his last breath. Walter Scott killed for fleeing a traffic stop. For Mr. Castile up in Minnesota killed for a traffic stop. Freddie Gray, anybody know why Freddie Gray got killed? To this day, do we even know why they even killed this man? Anybody? Alton Sterling killed for selling CDs outside the store. They had this brother trapped up beneath a car, 2 cops tasing him, knees in his back, everything else. One cop yells at he has a gun, shoots him in his head twice. Akeet Gurley killed walking down the stairs of an apartment that him and his girlfriend was in. Although the officer in this case, this was up in New York, the officer in this case was convicted. They found him guilty. And the judge gave him community service. No prison time. Oscar Grant III killed at Fruitville Station, held down by one officer while the other one shot him in the back. Trayvon Martin killed by walking home. Ezell Ford, mental ill man in L.A., killed by the officer. Sandra Bland killed for not signaling a turn. DeAndre Hamilton shot 14 times for sleeping on a park bench. Jeremy Reed shot for exiting his car during a traffic stop. Sean Bell killed for leaving the strip club by plainclothes cops. Him and the plainclothes cops shot his car 50 times. Diallo shot 19 times. Cops let off 41 shots, and all he was trying to do was get home after having dinner. Jonathan Farrell shot after crashing his car, knocking on neighbors' doors trying to get help. And the list goes on and on and on. We have to come together to say this is not, and This is not a one-time thing, like the Obama administration tried to lead us to believe that, oh, we have to handle this, you know what I mean, one time, you know what I mean, one situation after the other. He invited Trayvon Martin's family to come and sit in the White House. He invited them to like to the State of the Union, but he didn't invite, you know, he didn't have the power that he had to take over that case. So this man could not hide behind some stand your own ground when you chase down a child with a gun and killed him in someone's backyard, and then you take pictures of it and you sell them. You take pictures and you go to go to these different rallies and you sign bags of Skittles and get paid off of this young man's death, and all he wanted to do was get home. Sandra Bland hanged in a cell for what? Because saying that because she didn't signal a turn? Are you serious? When the whole thing in Missouri went down with Mike Brown, they sent the Justice Department out there to do an investigation. That investigation turned up that the whole town was crooked. It wasn't just the police department. It was also the courts. You know, the police would write somebody a ticket, tell them, oh, you have to be at court at 8 a.m. The court don't open up until 9 a.m. If you don't stick around and wait for the court to stick, they hit you with a bench warrant. Now there's an arrest for you. Now there's a warrant for your arrest, all because of some fake traffic ticket. Who got arrested in that? Who lost their job in that? Nobody. And the police involved in the shooting, he didn't even get fired. He quit. He ended up quitting.
That's crazy, man.
It's not a thing where like, oh, well, or this has just happened, or this over here, or this over here. It's all connected. It's all connected. And if you don't see that there's a system out to kill us, and if they can't kill us, then they're going to lock us in a prison cell. They'll take the black man out of this, to take the black man out of America, to take him out of existence, to take him out of power, or any chance of ever gaining any type of power, whether it's economic within his family, because they have done everything they can to try to remove him from the home, to remove him from owning a business, from being able to be a pillar in his own community. We have to come together. We have to say, you know what, I don't even care about what this cat put on Facebook. I don't care about this car. I don't care about this beef. Only thing I care about right now is that my son should have the opportunity to live. My grandson should have the opportunity to live. Their grandson should have the opportunity to live.
Man, you was flowing tonight, JRich. I don't think we had any callers. You was flowing. I ain't checked, but I think we good for right now. Let me ask you this, because this is the main topic, and you might, and I'm sure you elaborated on it, but I want to get this in, because it seems to me it's going to be a lot of people starting to fight back in the black community, which I'm all for. But what legal grounds are we going to have? And that's going to be, and that's a good question that we're asking, because it doesn't seem like self-defense is going to work for a black man. So, you know, when we're out defending ourselves now, what are we going to have to do? Am I going to have a gun in one hand and my camcorder in another hand? Do I need a body cam just to run around and walk? You understand what I'm saying? So, what legally, what do we need to do to be able to protect ourselves?
Legally, on the books, you know what I mean? We have the right to defend ourselves. But at the same time, you know what I mean? That's the way it's written in the book. But the way that law is carried out is something else, man. And yeah, man, pretty much. Not only do you have to run, not only do you have to carry, you know what I mean, and have a body cam, you have to make sure that body cam was on a half an hour before the incident, so you can show everything that led up to that point. So somebody can't be like, oh, well, we don't know, you know what I mean, that you ain't start something with them before you even got over here, or you ain't do this, or you ain't do that. Because every time that there's a shooting involved with someone that looks like you and I, the first thing that they do, if they can't find a criminal record, is start telling us what we should have done in that situation. You know, so This brother should have kept on running. This brother should have hit the woods. This brother should have, you know what I mean, just ducked out the community. As soon as he seen them following, he should have turned around. He should have did this. He should have did that. Because it's always the responsibility for our lives always fall.
And brothers,
have no choice but to defend our lives.
I lost you there. Repeat that last part, because I don't want you flowing tonight. I don't want to lose anything. You broke up on the last part.
I'm just saying that there's I just can't imagine or see a situation, you know what I mean, whereas we are going to get off for anything, especially if it's somebody of another color that we're fighting against in order to save our lives. If it's a police officer, it's a wrap. You know, I out of this list of names and the many more, I can't imagine any one of them actually trying to defend their life and go to court and say, hey, man, I feared for my life, and being able to get off. Legally, on paper, yes, we have all types of rights. But the way that law is interpreted, once you get into court, the way it's interpreted by the DA, the way it's interpreted by the judge, the way it's interpreted by the jury, man, we don't have a chance. We don't have a chance. So to me, is, hey, man, at this point, they're going to take your life one way or the other, and it's better to go ahead and stand up and fight. It's much better to go ahead and stand up and fight and lose your life fighting for your own freedom rather than, you know what I mean, hoping that justice is served, because justice is not going to be served.
Well, that's interesting, because you're pretty much telling me to fight, you know, because they're going to take my life anyway. But once I eliminate his life to save mine, even though I'm innocent, I'm still screwed regardless. So that kind of sucks, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. Yeah, man. Maybe one of the callers have you know what I mean. Maybe they can give us like some little better, you know what I mean, legal insight. I don't know, but the way I see it, the way that the law is interpreted, once you step inside that courtroom, it's interpreted against you. Because the DA is not your friend. The DA is not looking to get you off. The DA is looking to charge you. The judge is not looking to have you walk out of court. The judge is looking to have justice served as the way he interprets it.
And it's funny, you know. Let me ask you this, because we talking about being afraid. Are we as a community a lot of talk but no action? You know, and the reason I say that is, and it's really funny, when we talk about homosexuality, the phone lines are off the hook. When we talk about should the Redskins change their name, the phones light up. When we talk about fighting back, black power, black economics, the phones don't light up. Are we afraid? Let's put it out there. Are we afraid to fight against the oppressors? Has it come to that because we've been so mentally stripped, physically, economically broken down and beat down, that, you know, that's a fight that we don't even want to look at or talk about? We'll say a little thing on social media, but when it comes time to vocally speak up and say, I'm an arm for mine, we don't want any problems with the white man. What would you say about that?
Man, yes. When the white nationalists marched through Virginia, what was it, 2 years ago now?
Mm-hmm. About 2 years.
You got you got all these brothers or whatever, you know what I mean, all these gangsters and so on and so forth, or what have you. How many of them approached them? You know, how many of them approached them? You let these cats come walking through your town or whatever, you know what I mean, they flying their flag, they got their guns out, so on and so forth. For all the ones, all the gangsters, all the rappers that, you know what I mean, I rep mine, I defend my street, so on and so forth. Where were you? Where were you? You know? And I'm just like, nah, man, you know. My buddy called me when the whole Freddie Gray thing went down. And he was like, man, are you scared? I was like, nah. I was like, I don't live in, I don't live in Baltimore. I was like, but two, I was like, man, they can come on down my street if they want, man. You know, man, I got a high-powered scope, man, and they won't even. I'll see them much sooner than they'll see me. You know what I mean? And they ain't got a chance, man. It's a wrap.
Do you think, in a lot of ways, that we are conditioned just not to fight back? That Martin Luther King, we should overcome, and things like that. Is that a psychological thing also? Because that's another thing. Should we fight, or should we go through this political situation that isn't working for us? You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. Man, I'm so glad you said that, because people don't realize, you know what I mean? Especially the ones that I get into arguments about voting. You know, oh, I don't vote. You know, Trump ain't going to do nothing for me. Biden ain't going to do anything for me. And it's just like, you know, it's more people on that ballot than just them two. Because guess who else is on the ballot when you go in? The DA is on the ballot. He is an elected official. Judges are on the ballot. They are elected officials. The sheriff is on the ballot. He is an elected official. And people overlook this fact, man, that these people are voted in. All you have to do is vote for somebody else. And that goes right back to unity. Vote in somebody that's not going to talk about protecting the community, because when you look at like big cities, man, they spend hundreds of millions of dollars on the police force, hundreds of millions of dollars on the police force. But it's like you and I was talking before. You know, when you go down to go down by the water, go down by the harbor, police everywhere. You go down Greenmount, where the crime is at, you don't see them. You don't see them. Every now and then they might pop up if somebody call or what have you, but they're not posted up there trying to, you know what I mean, trying to deter crime, you know. But go over to the new waterfront over there by downtown Baltimore. They're there every Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. They got multiple cars sitting there, making sure nothing goes off. Now, when you start talking about Brooklyn, oh, somebody got stabbed in Brooklyn. Oh, somebody got shot in Brooklyn, such and such and this and that. But you think like, well, if the crime is happening in Brooklyn, why are these cats over here? Shouldn't they be over here? But then when you, I'm sorry. But when we get back to like being able to protect ourselves, the person that you voted in as a DA needs to understand the situation. The person that you voted in as a judge needs to understand the situation. The person that you voted in as sheriff needs to understand the situation. Not only understand the situation, but his officers need to be trained and know what situation they're going into. When we say that we're defending ourselves and that this person approached me and so on and so forth, that we should be given the benefit of the doubt. We are law-abiding citizens, and we should be given the benefit of the doubt. But when we had the Black Panthers, you know what I mean, they became the biggest target. The one thing that they don't want, you know what I mean, is for us to start defending ourselves. When the Black Panthers all got shot in their sleep, rounded up, arrested, killed as quickly as possible, then the guardian angels came around and the police turned on the guardian angels, you know what I mean? Or they're interfering in our investigations, they're doing this. No, what they're trying to do is lower the crime rate, you know? But I told you once before in one of the other shows, whatever, you know what I mean? Crime brings money, man. Crime brings money, you know? So no city wants to, and no matter what these politicians tell you, no city wants to completely eliminate crime, because that's cutting off a big portion of their funding.
Oh, without a doubt.
No city.
Without a doubt.
But we have to find a way, like you said, you know what I mean, in order to be able to unify. You have to be able to defend yourself. And the biggest thing is we have to find and be able to identify lawyers and attorneys that are aware of our situation, that are willing to go and work within our community, knowing, you know what I mean, the financial restraints that most of us have, you know, because money, you know what I mean, you got money, then you have a lawyer that can spend nothing but time on your case. I don't know too many people that can, whip out $100,000, you know what I mean? So that the attorney drops all his other cases and only works on yours. So then he's rebutting everything. He's getting stuff thrown out. He's bringing in expert witnesses and all of this other stuff. Well, I don't have money like that. You know what I mean? So
Right.
if I get into a fight with somebody and somebody end up losing their life, you know what I mean? I'm up the creek. Because it's going to be public defender. And like I said, man, these cats are going to meet with you like 30 seconds before you walk into that courtroom. And the first thing they're going to do is tell you to take the deal.
You're right. But since we didn't have any callers tonight, JRich, I'm going to go over a couple of these comments and see, just get your response and we can respond on them. A couple of them. Gwendolyn Hicks, as a black woman, I'm not afraid to defend myself when warranted. Trust. So she's saying she's not afraid to defend herself as a black woman. What do you say about that, JRich?
That's a beautiful thing.
This is somebody from YouTube. Fine Kenny. Oh, Kenny. So sad to see another black man taken. Here's an interesting one that was said on the show. He tried to defend himself. Should I jog strat? At this point, Negro, yes. Your thoughts on that, JRich?
Oh, you broke up. Say it again.
Michael Thompson, he said he tried to defend himself. Should I jog strat? My answer was at this point, Negro, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. If that's the way you feel, man. Yeah, man. You got to take, man. We take so many precautions, man, and we got to walk around on eggshells, man, constantly, because with, you know what I mean, it's a catch-22. We may be right, but we're still wrong. We may be right, but we're still wrong. You know what I mean? It's just like I said, no matter what it is we do, they always gonna find a reason or something to say like, oh, well, maybe you should have did such and such. You know what I mean? I applaud Tupac for being able to get off, but I ain't got Tupac type of money. You know what I mean? It's a higher type of judge, a higher type of lawyer that's going to get me off, man, for shooting at 2 cops. I ain't got that type of bread.
Here's an interesting one from Rod Golden. Street gangs have over 50 years of training. I got a comment. Let me comment on that first, brother Rod. We got 50 years of training, but I don't know if it's the right training because we got to look at the gangs. You want to see a real gang, you go to Mississippi. They don't have 50 years of training. Them white boys got hundred years of training on how to lynch and how to carry themselves. So what's your thoughts on that about the 50 years of training for the street gangs, JRich?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, they've been getting it in for like hundreds of years, like you said, man. Yeah, they getting down and dirty and getting away with it and been getting away with it for a long time. Peace, Rod Golden. Love you, bro.
He also says, and she's a grandmother. I think he was talking about maybe the time when you were talking about the person get on the fraud voting. Maybe is she a grandmother?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what he was talking about.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what her name was.
Okay.
But Barnhart went after her hard. Turn that down.
Okay. Well, JRich, it's another powerful show. I'm gonna let you close out, and then we're gonna pay the bills and be out of here. Just anything you like to say about the black community, us fighting back, and things of that nature.
Listen, the number one thing, man, is to arm yourself legally so that they don't have like a way to come back and say you did this or this person was such and such. Defend yourself by all means. They want to take our life, whether it's through vaccines, whether it's through diseases, whether it's through viruses. Population control is in full effect, and we're the number one. We're at the top of the food chain line when you start talking about population control. We're the first ones that they want to get up out of here by any means necessary, and they'll do that through their police force. They'll do that through made-up wars and put us on the front line to die. They'll do that by putting us in trying to entrap us in poor communities, crime-ridden communities where crime is promoted. promote it through movies, promote it through music, promote it through every type of media that's available to us. The one thing that they don't want to do is see a strong black man. What they don't want to do is see a strong black intelligent man. And even worse than a strong black intelligent man is a strong black intelligent armed black man. It's, you know what I mean? That's one of America's biggest nightmares. Arm yourself, protect yourself, but educate yourself and unify. 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 We got to bring our communities together.
Well, I appreciate you, brother JRich. That's your grandchild?
Yeah, man. They done busted in on me.
No, you good, brother. Peace and blessings. And again, we're gonna try to do one. I'm gonna try to get with you early this week so we can do another show. I'm gonna need you on this one.
All right. Peace,
all right,
man.
Peace and blessings. Well, now, once again, that was our brother JRich, who was just dropping the jewels and the knowledge. And I just want to say peace to him again. Whenever we have JRich on, it's always a powerful and a controversial show. Before we roll out, I want to pay the bills a little bit, as I keep telling you guys, to support black-owned businesses. I also want to tell you to support this business by Dr. Ma'at. It's Meltrek. It's a video that you can learn about history of black people and African culture, and it's broken down for kids. So definitely I want you guys to check that out. And here's a preview of it. It's called Meltrek.
You have to wait there.
There are many films about slavery told through foreign lenses. Now witness the full story from an African perspective. How did slavery in Africa begin? Who were the major players? Who resisted? Learn the answers and much more in Meltrek, Exploring the Ma'afa, Part 1, The Arrival of the Portuguese.
Man, that pumps me up every time I watch it. So if you're interested in just learning about your culture and having fun, get it for yourself too. I got a couple of versions that I watch myself and learn, and then I let the kids watch it and stuff like that. It's another one I want to pump up, Miss Tammy Gibson. So let me play a little bit of her commercial. She's a phenomenal person as far as giving culture to everybody of the places she's been. Let me play a little bit of what she's doing for the people.
In order to have a future, you have to know your past. My passion for African American history is the generations of foot soldiers, inventors, entrepreneurs, and educators who have shaped me into the woman that I am today. From the motherland to my beautiful city, Chicago, and around the world, As a travel historian, it's my obligation to honor and educate about the contributions of African Americans who have built this country. Be inspired by my journey.
All right. So that was Sankofa for Her, Miss Tammy Gibson. So please check her out on Facebook, Sankofa for Her. I believe her website is Sankofa for Her. She has phenomenal information out of the places she's been from Africa and everything. And she takes her experiences and she teaches and she gives light. And she also talks about always traveling, something that we must do as a culture. So again, man, another topic. I know it's going to be a lot of people commenting on it like they were commenting on our last show, which was definitely very powerful. So I was glad everybody stayed tuned for that. That was like a real powerful show. And, you know, man, it was just, that was something to behold. We really got a little emotional, but we came out with, you know, a solution. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Shout out to Brother JRich for always coming with some in-depth knowledge. And I can't wait to get him back on for another controversial show. And we are out of here, man. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. And protect yourself. Have a good one. Hotep.
Real truth and power, health, wealth, knowledge of self, uplifting the community. Let's talk about it. Real truth and power.
Thank you for tuning into the Real Truth and Power Show. We'll provide health, wealth,
knowledge of self, uplifting the community. Let's talk about it.
Arm in arm.